Paul Metsa's Wall of Power TV is brought to you in part by Grey Wolf Lodge, your home away from home in the North Woods, and the Solar Arts Building in Northeast Minneapolis.
Hi, welcome to Wall of Power TV. I'm your host, Paul Metsa. We've got an interesting show tonight. Two great friends of mine, Gregg Inhofer, keyboard player, bass player, songwriter, and phenomenal singer who have to be featured on Bob Dylan's record called Blood on the Tracks, and a great author, journalist named Rick Shefchik, Duluth East, class of 1970. Rick and I are co-writing a book that centers around discussions we've had with the Minneapolis musicians who played on Blood on the Tracks. We're going to do a little research on both sides of those sessions, which took place on 2 nights in December of 1974. And one of the things we're going to be doing is talking to those Minneapolis musicians, getting their before Blood on the Tracks story and after their Blood on the Tracks story. So we're going to start off tonight with a guy who is on those sessions. We played together, really phenomenal musician, Mr. Gregg Inhofer. Gregg, I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, so good to see you.
Yeah,
thanks for being here. And Rick, you and I have been on the phone.
Yeah, but we haven't seen each other.
We haven't seen over a year. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do, I'll let Rick kick this off. He is, I've had about 200 plus pages of transcribed interviews. I was getting ready to move up to Duluth a couple months ago, and I looked at this stack and said, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to finish this book in the time that it needs to be done. So I got a hold of Rick, whom I'm a friends with and big fans. He said, I'd love to help you out. We have a deal with the University of Minnesota Press, so it should be coming out spring through fall of 2022. So I'm going to let Mr. Shefchik start off the conversation with Gregg Inhofer.
Well, first, Gregg, let's do this again. It's really an honor to meet you.
Well, nice to meet you. I did read half of your book, and then the guy that gave it to me wanted it back.
We'll track him down because you'll like the other half.
Okay.
But we're going to do a deep dive on you today, and that starts with your full name.
Be gentle.
So, first middle name, last name.
My birth given name.
Yes.
Gregory John Benedict Inhofer.
4, that's good.
Well, I have a confirmation name. I have 2 sisters that are nuns. I wanted Fabian because Fabian.
Right.
And I found out that Fabian and Sebastian, who were probably gay, were both shot with arrows and were made saints. And I wanted to be Fabian, and my sisters, who were Benedictine nuns, they said, no, you're going to be Benedict. So
that's great. Right there, we're already getting into some good stuff. What year were you born?
1950.
And where?
Swedish Hospital in Minneapolis.
Okay, so your family, multi-generation Minneapolitans?
For the most part, my dad, they originally lived down in New Ulm and up north. What was it? Not Whiskey, maybe Whiskey River. Up near there, he had a farm that he couldn't make work.
Mm-hmm.
So not originally from Minneapolis, but they moved to Minneapolis.
Inhofer, is that German?
Is Inhofer. That's how I should pronounce it. Otherwise, people put 2 F's in it.
And what about your mother's side? Any music there?
It's funny. My mother, I believe I got my musical ability from my mother, through my mother.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard her sing in my whole life. When she was a child, she took violin lessons. Her brother took piano lessons. He took them because their parents told him to. The story was that she was pretty good and getting better. Money got tight in the 20s. Whose lessons go? the girl.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
This is a lot like Kevin Odegaard's story,
Is it?
about his mother who was a concert pianist, but
Yeah.
actually never performed.
oh, right. So, she never picked it up again, never played an instrument, but I think that's where it came from.
When you first got interested in music, do you remember how old you were? Do you remember why? What attracted you
I
to it?
remember exactly. When I was 8, my Uncle Ori, who was the black sheep of my mother's family, and my mother was always the one that took in the wayward brothers,
Mm-hmm.
He was the one that had a drinking problem, and he shared a room with me and Uncle Ori and his
love it.
and his stinky feet.
Yeah.
So, he had given me a plastic Emini trumpet. He gave my sister a little plastic chord organ, electric chord organ. I pulled that puppy out of the box. Never touched an instrument before. And I went, I was amazed.
Fantastic.
Everybody was looking at me, like, wow. And I was like, I was hooked. All of a sudden then the old acoustic guitar in my other uncle's attic took on a new meaning. And next time I went to see him, he was my godfather. I got it from him. And one of the priests from the church in our parish, he was not one of the bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
Father Siebenaller, he was a good guy. And he taught me some chords, some cowboy chords, and I played that for a little bit. But I just started to do stuff. I was playing pots and pans along with an old Victrola that a friend of my mother's had given me. And there were 2 records that I liked. One of them was this Foxtrot record that I'd play the pots and pans. And the other one was this record called The Old Country Gentleman in New York or something like that. And the whole thing was an old guy, first time in New York. Hello, Central. I want to talk to my son. He's right here in New York City. His number, heavens to Betsy, ain't in trouble, is he? Ain't in jail. So that's the whole 2 records that I listened to all the time. I loved them. So.
All right, and so this takes us up to, you said you were 8, born in 1950, so we're in the late 50s. Are you listening to the radio now? Are you listening to music stations? Are you picking anything up there?
Not really. I was watching Winky Dink on TV. You know Winky Dink,
Yeah,
don't
Winky
you?
Dink and You, I think, was the name of
Yeah.
the show, wasn't it?
Do you remember
So
Winky
you were the
Dink,
you.
Paul?
I'm a little younger than you gentlemen.
Oh, Winky Dink was the first interactive TV show in the 50s, because for 2 cornflake box tops and 50 cents, you could get a Winky Dink kit. And a Winky Dink kit consisted of a heavy-duty plastic screen with the outline of a TV screen on it, and a Winky Dink wiper cloth, and a Winky Dink crayon. And Winky Dink, oh no, the bridge is out. How's Winky Dink going to get across the river? You draw a bridge, and Winky Dink, and I always used to think, how many kids are drawing devils and pitchforks and flames down there? Come on, fall in, Winky Dink. So they took it off the air because some kids would just forget to put their doggone Winky Dink screen on. And TVs at the time were these spirals of, a 1/16 of an inch groove.
Mm-hmm.
When you put a Winky Dink crayon across it, it's history.
Right.
It's no good.
Right.
So anyway, they took that off the air.
And that explains why there weren't more interactive TV shows after
In
Winky
those
Dink.
days, yes it does, because the days of flat screen have not happened yet.
All right, so I'm guessing, you're going to Catholic school, are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
What school?
St. Anne's, North Minneapolis.
Okay, and were you involved in any music programs there?
I started taking piano lessons.
Who was your
in, like,
teacher?
my first teacher was Sister Margaret, and after the first year, she got transferred. And so my second teacher was Sister Armel, and we used to call her Sister Armsmell, of course. But myself and another girl, Rose Almond, we were in the first year, we were the best students. We were at the top of the heap. And so she allowed us to, the new teacher allowed us to pick what we wanted to do. And I said, no classical. And she said, well, I want to give you some light classical anyway. So, I got stuff like Edvard Grieg, but otherwise I got to pick popular songs. What's the one? Cast Your Fate to the Wind.
Oh, Vince Guaraldi.
Yeah. And I got books like Pop Sticks, and it was Boogie Woogie. Left hand stuff.
Right.
It taught me left hand stuff, and I've got a good left hand.
Oh, you've got a great left hand.
So that started it.
Plus, you're a great bass player.
Well,
yeah, but I mean, it's.
I'm a McCartney bass player.
Yeah,
It's just lock in with the foot. But my 8th grade recital, I picked a piece, the Bumblebee Boogie, and it was the Steve Allen version of the Flight of the Bumblebee. So there was one part that I screwed up, and I screwed it up the rest of my life. Until last year during COVID, I decided, doggone it, I'm going to fix it.
Yeah, right. It's about time.
And 50, 60 years later.
It takes time.
And
now, is this the record, Flight of the Bumblebee by B. Bumble and the Stingers? Was that what was the popular?
No.
Or this is the classical piece?
Well, it's the classical piece, but it's the arrangement I had was, I didn't get it from an audio source. It was the music I had was the Steve Allen version.
Okay.
Steve Allen was very prolific and wrote under a variety of names.
I didn't know the other names he wrote under, but I do know the ones that he wrote under his own name.
Yeah.
Like This'll Be the Start of Something Big.
Okay.
I always liked that
Gravy
one.
Waltz.
I didn't know that one.
That's Steve Allen.
He was hipper than he looked.
Do you know who Bent Fabric is?
Sure, Alley Cat.
You know who Bent Fabric is?
No.
Steve Allen.
Are you kidding?
Really?
No, he wrote Alley Cat.
Really?
Yeah.
One of my father's favorite tunes.
I'm telling you, the guy was brilliant.
We could stop taping right now because the revelations we've already got are just incredible.
Oh, I saw an old clip of Steve Allen's show, and his guest was Frank Zappa.
Wow.
And it was before Frank was,
Right.
he
Yeah.
had short hair, he had a suit on and a tie, and he said, well, Steve, you're quite the composer yourself, and today we're going to play bicycles. And he had 2 bicycles turned over, and they were going to play them in a variety of ways. He had a stick, and he was going to use it on different parts, blow through the thing, and he instructed the band to play along and play their instruments in an unconventional manner.
Right.
Is what he instructed them. And some of them got it, and some of them didn't. Some of the guys took their mouthpiece off and go, and the piano player was pulling his strings, and they were doing weird stuff. And they played these 2 bikes, and Steve Allen got over, and he's playing this bike. He's got a stick, and it was hilarious.
Right.
But this was, what, early 60s?
Yeah.
62?
Yeah.
God, Ernie Kovacs days.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's some experimental stuff.
So that gets you closer to jazz. Are you interested in jazz at this point?
No, not really.
So what was motivating you? Just learning more about the instrument? There wasn't any particular style or...
You mean as a piano player
Yeah.
in grade school?
Mm-hmm.
I was learning what was on the paper. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I would memorize stuff, but I just learned I wasn't improvising. I did not understand the piano as an emotive instrument at that time. I went to a seminary, first 2 years of high school, Crozier Seminary up on Lake Onamia. And the reason I went was because I went to a symposium in like 7th or 8th grade. They have the Catholic, all the Catholic, the religion, the orders.
Right.
All the orders, they put on this symposium, and they bring the kids through from all the parochial schools to try and indoctrinate them into becoming a priest or a nun or a brother. And I had my picture taken at the Crozier one, in a little Crozier habit, I thought that'd be cool. But for the rest of the day, I found a piano over in the corner, and I started over there. I'm playing Beatles songs with my friends, horsing around.
Do you have a picture? Do you have that picture still?
I wish I did. I may, but I doubt it.
It'd be a fun one for the book.
So we're horsing around, and on the bus on the way home, I've got nothing. I got in my bag, I got a picture of me in a Crozier habit, and so this girl, Teresa Connors, she says, "Oh, I've got some," because she got everything. She got priests, nuns, brothers, monks, everybody. So she gave me a bunch of priests and brothers stuff and threw it in my bag, and I take it home and I throw it on the dining room table. Yeah, that's what I did in school today. And my dad's looking through it, and he sees this Crozier Seminary, and it's like, I don't know, I can't guarantee, but it was like $570 a year, including room and board. You just had to pay for a few extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was worried about me. At that time, I was about 4'9", 93 pounds, wet. The next year in high school, I'd be going to North High.
Right.
At the time, North High was predominantly a black high school. We had just had the race riot on Plymouth Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
He knew I would go to school and get my ass kicked twice a day, once on the way and once on the way home. Twice a day, the rest of my life. So he was interested in this, and he brought it up to me, and he went in to do something, and we were doing errands the next day, and I'm thinking about him going, well, he really wants me to go. 4 years isn't that long. So I agreed to go. While I'm there, I run into this guy who teaches me guitar. He teaches me the 1-4-5. He teaches me blues chords.
Right.
We start a band. It's the first rock band they've ever had in the seminary. All they've had is folk guys. We got the Beatles and the Stones approved for the rec room.
Nice.
So we would play these shows, and I'd play bass on a 6-string electric guitar like this. And the priest would say, "We didn't even know you were alive until we saw your fingers moving." And we would play for the student body once a month.
What year were you a freshman at this school? What year was
This would be 64.
Okay.
Yep, 64, because that's the year I turned 14. I went into kindergarten at age 4 due to a clerical error. My birthday's in November, and I should have been refused.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be 5 by the end of September or something. Well, I slipped through, and it was detrimental my whole life. I was always the youngest. I was the last one to do things, the last one to mature,
Right.
last one to drive, everything. So it sucked. So anyway, I'm in the seminary, and I meet this guy, one of the students there, and we start this band, the Silhouettes. We eventually changed our name to the Guys. The second year, I went back, and I had been playing, I started another band over the summer called Liberty 3. Only I wasn't playing bass anymore, I was playing guitar. Came back the second year, and I played lead. Because the lead player bought a bass, so he became the bass player, and I became the lead player. The third year, the drummer wasn't coming back. So I said, "No band? I'm not going."
Right.
So I didn't go back, because there was no band to go back to.
Yeah.
It's like, there was 1 month during 2 years that I actually wanted to be a priest, and that was because at Sunday benediction, this old priest gets up there and he's giving us a sermon. He's going, "Now, boys, imagine you're on a bus, and the bus goes over a cliff, And Burns, wouldn't it be better if you were a priest on that bus? And for a month I thought, yeah, it would. That would be better. But that wore off real quick. But I used to be able to go down to the music room, and the stuff I was able to listen to that I got turned on to at the time was what was cool. Because I was listening to Edgar Varese, Density 6.2.
Big influence on Zappa.
Zappa. Well, I didn't do Zappa yet.
Yeah, but I'm saying Varese was.
Oh. Varese, Cloud Chamber Bowls, Charles Ives stuff. You ever heard his album with two pianos that are tuned a quarter tone apart?
No.
Oh my God. The physical feelings
Right.
from hearing, the same chord being played a quarter tone apart, and then they start interacting. It's like, whoa, come
Right.
on. It's just so,
Right.
it's very real physical weirdness.
Right.
Anyway, that's the stuff I was listening to, this avant-garde classical stuff, because that's what Father Mayer had down there.
So going back to the pop music for a second, so you discovered the Beatles and the Stones, but are you still not listening to the radio all that often?
I'm listening to as much as I can up at the seminary. I'm starting to listen to the Beatles. Mm-hmm. We did a gig once, our band, the guys.
Yeah.
We asked the sophomore prefect if it was all right if we go into town and play this sock hop, right? And he gives us permission. So we go into the gym and we steal the PA off the wall. We unbolt it. We go in the back and we take the Bogan ramp. We steal a pickup truck, put our gear in it, and we drive it into town. We go play our little gig. We made $20, $5 a piece.
Right.
My first paying gig, 1965. We go back, we bring the truck back, and we go into the gym to put the speakers back on the wall.
Yeah, they're nice.
We turn on the light in the back room, and there's the prefect, or the head rector, the head guy with his dog, sitting there in the dark,
Waiting for you?
waiting for us. And he's just sitting there, and we're going,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
We brought it back.
We got KP for a month, every Saturday. So we'd just sit and listen to the Beatles,
So you decided to leave school because the band wasn't going to be there.
Well,
anymore.
I left that school. I ended up down in my 11th and 12th grade at De La Salle.
Oh, instead of going to North.
Yeah.
What was the decision there? Why did you...
Well, my dad still didn't want me to get my ass kicked twice a day. And also, I remember coming home the first summer at this seminary. I went in, like I said, 4'9", 93 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody played intramural sports. They had their varsity teams, but everybody played every sport. So I was playing stuff I never played. Football, baseball, hockey, basketball, tennis, everything throughout the whole year. I came home about 5'3", 130 pounds. My sister, who's a year and a half older than me, had always hassled me and beat me up. And I waited. I waited patiently.
With the dog in the back with the lights on.
I learned, Paul, I learned.
All right, I'm guessing at De La Salle you found some more musicians and put another band together,
I
right?
did. I started playing along with records, and I would play along and learn. I learned East-West, both Butterfield and Elvin Bishop's guitar solos. Learned them both, learned the whole song. Learned Axis, Bold as Love, all the Hendrix stuff. I learned it all and played along with the records. The senior year, I met Ron Merchant, who was the bass player with a local group called the City Strangers. And that was Bob and Dale Strength.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Ron Merchant and another keyboard player named Larry Norling. So they were looking for a second guitar and a vocal. And so I had met Ron and we had been friends. So he said, hey, you want to come and audition? I said, sure. So I went down and auditioned. And when we got done, Dale said, yeah, what was your name again? I said, Greg. He said, I don't like that. I'm going to call you Grape. So for about 4 years, I was Grape. That was my name around town, Grape. Hey, Grape, how are you? Purple, how are you? Give me a break. So I hooked up with them. We started learning Hendrix and Cream and more heavy stuff. And
Now tell Rick about, or maybe you know, their dad, Texas.
Texas Bill Smith.
Yeah, he was a country
Yeah.
artist, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And boy, the stories.
Yeah.
Did you get to know him at all?
Oh, yeah. Because when he moved back to town, he put a trailer on our, we had a farm out in Plymouth, and he parked a trailer on our front lawn, and that's where he would go. He had gigs out on Medicine Lake. I can't tell you the one story, I wish I could. But he showed up to our place one morning with Marvin Rainwater. And we're half asleep. And he comes out and he brings Marvin in the house, and we got this tortoise shell on the wall. And that's where we hide our stash.
Right.
And Marvin's over there, he's going, "Oh, this is nice." Bangs on it, and the stash pops out. So Bill takes us out, and he opens his trunk, and he's got hot dogs, hamburgers, buns, relish, pickles, mustard, ketchup, plates, napkins, little salt and pepper shakers, beer, whiskey, vodka, everything for a picnic, for a barbecue. It's 8 o'clock and fucking... Sorry, Andy. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. So we wake up and we start partying with him. And eventually we barbecue. Friends start showing up, because that's what happened out at the farm. People would come out, and we'd have jam sessions just about every night.
I'm sorry, where's this farm again?
Plymouth, the first one. The second one was in Egan. But we found this place that was like a realty company, Bell Realty. They had it.
What was the name of the band at that time?
Pepper Fog.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
When you joined those guys, they were calling themselves something else again?
City Strangers.
And then you...
Oh, I jumped ahead a little bit.
Okay.
When we started learning heavier material, we changed the name of the band when I joined to Rubber Band. We started learning heavier material. The keyboard player wasn't into it. He left, made us a 4-piece. We changed our name to Flight, and Flight changed their name to Pepper Fog because we saw a Jimi Hendrix concert at Monterey. And on the stage were some boxes, crates of Pepper Fog. And we said, yeah, that's a good name.
It actually was a good name.
It worked for years. We changed our name once. We ran our way down to Austin, and we were going past the Sterling Motel. And we go, yeah, we should change our name to Sterling. And we did for about 3 weeks. And then we went, what are we doing? No. Luckily, we didn't have any promo.
We got to change that drum head.
No, luckily we didn't have any promo printed up. And then another band from Marsh took the name Sterling.
Oh, funny.
So there was a Sterling band, but it wasn't us. So
But this
that,
was, that what you and I have talked about this a few times. What I loved, that was really a moment in time where the band got, I don't know if you want to call it a commune, but I knew a band up on Iron Range. They'd get the farm. They'd all live in the farm, And you told me stories that I loved, and it was so much of the time you drop acid and then wake up to watch the sunrise.
yeah.
Right? Talk about that, because I think that's, to me, that was the beautiful part before that whole scene kind of turned on his head. Hey, now I don't know if we have to get out by 3, but that's what I booked it to. So I'm wondering if we should just take a 5. Now you could keep
Actually
talking.
get to Dylan stuff.
Yeah, well, too, but I mean,
think we're
there's,
gonna get there.
but see, he's got,
I'll come
he
back.
played.
I'm having a great time.
He played with Olivia Newton-John
I know, yeah.
and others. But I mean, if you guys want to keep talking,
Well, that's what I was doing when the Dylan thing happened.
right?
I was working with KO, and we were going out with Olivia.
But I need to make a call. But if you guys want to keep talking, or if you want to take a break,
Well, I just shut these off, so let's take a break.